Never, ever, ever buy a car that was struck by lightning. Let me show you why. Many months ago, I bought my first ever Porsche from a salvage auction, being told that there's something wrong with the engine. But after some investigating and tracing the previous owner, I quickly found out that I got scammed on this car.
There was a heavy freak storm for a couple of hours.
Okay.
There was a lightning strike.
Then you had the vehicle taken to a Porsche dealer.
Correct, yes. It was nearly a full year actually. They kept telling me that they were working on repairs, they would import parts from abroad.
And after finding out that this car was struck by lightning and it was at the main dealer for almost a year and they couldn't fix it, I knew I was in for a bumpy ride on this one. So I spent quite a bit of time fixing the immobilizer system, then the fuel system, and then the ignition system. And finally, I got this Porsche 911 Carrera to fire up for the first time. Beautiful. And whilst that was a celebrating moment, the next discovery that I made was the complete opposite. This car doesn't have drive. And after thinking that this is something that I'm going to sort out quickly, wow, I think I just realized this is my worst nightmare. And at this point in time, I hate this car. But you know what? I will never give up. And today I'm going to take you guys on a journey in my pursuit of getting these wheels to turn. And oh boy, is this one heck of a task. In the last video on my lightning damaged 911 Carrera, I made a promise and I said to you guys, I won't show this car to you if this car is not driving. But a lot of you have been asking me about this car and I need to answer you guys. So this is my journey. Hopefully today we're going to get the wheels turning. If not, hopefully we're going to get close to getting the wheels turning. So let's quickly go 5 months back in time so I can show you guys how we got to this point. And then we pop this control unit in and see if it's going to work. Straight after the last video that I've dropped on this car, I immediately jumped into fixing this control unit. Now, I've never done something like this before, so I did a bit of research and then I attempted to fix this control unit myself. There was one chip on the board that was heating up and I thought, you know what, if I replace this little bugger, we are in the green. Trying to fix a car that got struck by lightning. Will I do it again? Probably not. And unfortunately, after replacing that cheap component and putting back the oil that I've drained in the last video, just to make sure that there's enough oil in this gearbox, I attempted to drive this car and no drive. So I was forced to send this control unit off to someone that knows how to do these kinds of repairs because I've never done something like this. And after waiting for a good couple of months, finally I was surprised with a control unit. And now we're gonna pop this control unit in and let's hope this car is gonna drive for the first time. That was quite a journey. So let's pop this control unit in and see what's gonna happen. The plan and process is to get to the chipboard so that I can measure the temperature once the battery is connected and this car is running to make sure that this control unit doesn't heat up and we don't blow it again. Because if it heats up again, then there's something wrong on the car. And the reason why I've opened the control unit is I'm going to use this. So this is a temperature gauge. That little laser picks up the temperature of the components. So I'm going to use this and check the temperature across the board, because that was our main issue. We had heat on that chip, so there was an issue in this area. A temperature that is acceptable in this region is around mid 30s to 40 degrees. That's acceptable. So let's plug it in. So I just want to perform a temperature check on this control unit before I connect the battery, because if there's something wrong on the car, I might destroy this control unit. Okay. Battery's connected. Woo. Getting some temperature here. Ignition still switched off. Oh, there's some heat coming over here. Still acceptable. Nothing major. I mean, there is temperature, but I think let's start the car and get power flowing through there. Oh, that temperature is climbing. She's climbing right in this area. Oh, right on that chip. Right over there. That used to be our problem. This chip was heating up before the repair. I'm going to switch this thing off now because this temperature is way too high. It's on 60 degrees and climbing. So there's a problem right over here. And that means we're going to have to fix that issue first before we can leave this control unit running in this car. Just disconnect this before we blow this control unit again. Oh, come on. Come on. Sure, this thing is hot. It looks like we've got another problem. Something in this car from this wiring harness is feeding power back to our control unit that's basically heating this up. And this being a gearbox control unit, I can just guess that these plugs are connected to the gearbox. Hopefully they're connected from something else somewhere and not the gearbox, because if I look at this harness, it runs through there and this goes down to the gearbox, and then on this side it runs into the main wiring harness. So I'm hoping that it's coming from this side and not that side, because then it means it's something over here. But if not, then I'm gonna have to open up the gearbox, which I don't want to do. I don't want to open up this gearbox, but if I have to, I'm just gonna have to. I'm now checking for continuity across the board from the chip that's heating up to the pins, so that those pins can show me to which wires are they connected, and those wires are hopefully going to lead me to the faulty component that's heating up this control unit. I've got my pins marked out, that one, and then there's two right over there. Now we need to check on the wiring harness where they connect to the plug, and then trace them from here and see where they go to. And unfortunately, it's the wires that's going down to the gearbox. I should have expected that. Okay, now I need to get this car up in the air so we can get down to the gearbox. So we've got two plugs, the white one right at the top and then the black one at the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I need to trace those wires now to see what wire goes where, and then start unplugging these plugs and see if the temperature drops. After discovering that the wires are going into the gearbox, first thing I did is I disconnected the white plug, connected the battery, started the car, and ran a heat check. She's still running, which is a good sign, because now I know that I need to attend to the black plug. So I reconnected the white plug, disconnected the black plug, ran the car again, and then our temperature was within specification on the control unit. And now this is showing me that the problem is on the black plug. And now we're gonna have to start stripping this gearbox to see what the heck's going on inside this gearbox and how can we get to whatever's connected to this black plug. So let's drain the oil and get the sump off so we can see what the heck's going on inside here. One thing that's really strange about this car is I found so many problems that I've fixed, but never have I seen a single component on this car that was fried. Like one would think if a car gets struck by lightning, that stuff will just get fried, but there's nothing fried on this car. And after removing the sump, I got to the valve body. I took the valve body out, I did some checks, and unfortunately the valve body is connected to the white plug. So this is not where our issue lies. I did do some testing on these units on each solenoid on the valve body just to make sure that they are also fine, because you never know. With a car that got struck by lightning, anything can be faulty. Did I mention that you should never buy a car that got struck by lightning? Well, if I haven't said it, I'm saying it now. Never buy a car that got struck by lightning. Change of plan. So I've got the car on the lift, and the reason for that is the wire with the feedback, basically supplying current back into the control unit, is from this plug. And that means I need to take everything off over here at the back, and I need a special tool to get this section off. I did do a bit of research, and that unit inside the gearbox is actually the gear position sensor, and it's pretty expensive. I need a special tool, I don't have it, so let's see if we can do this job without the special tool. So let's start stripping the back. And I hope that this unit is repairable, because I'm not planning on spending so much money on a little electrical component inside the gearbox. And we don't even know if that's the only problem on the gearbox. Expensive? It's really expensive. Just wait till you guys find out how much the main dealer charges for this faulty component. It's ridiculous. So I spent quite a bit of time stripping off the back of this gearbox, getting all the components out of my way in order for me to access the balancing valves. There was a couple of seals that I had to break, but we're going to replace all these gaskets and seals. Once we found the problem, we fixed the problem, and we reassembled this gearbox. Unfortunately, I needed a special tool, so I had to make a special tool to pull this ball housing off, because the ball housing actually gets pressed over the bearings and it doesn't just slide off. And after finding a scrap piece of metal lying around at the workshops and spending a lot of hours to make a special tool, my custom special tool unfortunately didn't work. Special tools ready, and after trying this thing, unfortunately it didn't work, so we ended up making a different one. So let's see if this one, with all these goodies, will be able to help us to get that ball housing off, so we can see what's happening on the inside of the gearbox. Special Tool 2.0 worked like a treat. So the key is to pull this ball housing straight to the back, and the problem with the first tool that I've created, that tool was pulling it to the side, basically forcing the gearbox to pinch on the bearings. And another nice thing about this special tool is we designed it in such a way that we can reuse it to push the ball housing back on once we found the problem and we fixed the problem. And finally I get to see our electrical component that's giving us an issue. And that was a lot of fun. So now we're gonna have to start tracing these wires to see if it's going to this unit or if it's going to that unit, and then start testing so we can find the problem, fix the problem, and finally get these wheels to burn rubber for the first time. So our first check is to make sure that we're getting 5 volts. Got it connected, that's the voltage supply. Let's see. There we go, that's looking good. I have to make sure that we're getting 5 volts, because if I'm gonna fit a new unit, that unit is pretty expensive. and it's sending 12 volts, the control unit sending 12 volts to that unit, I'll just fry that unit and I'm gonna have to replace it again. Removing the gear position sensor and the speed sensor is a fairly simple task. It's just held in place with a couple of T25 bolts. You just unscrew them and out comes both units. So this might be the reason why we're not going anywhere. But before I get all excited about this component, I've made the mistake of getting overexcited if I find a problem on this car, and every time I found a problem, it just leads to the next problem. Hopefully the end is near in sight, because I'm tired of this car already. There's magnets over here, there's one over here, one over there, and there's another two at the top. And this is basically what runs over this to basically give us the reading. So we're gonna have to get a magnet to bench test it and just run a magnet over the unit. So let's quickly check the power supply and then bench test this, because we're gonna have to make sure that there's something wrong with this unit and not just go ahead and replace it. And after some research and some bench testing, creating my own little 5-volt station to give us a 5-volt supply to this unit, I could verify that the readings inside this unit is way out of spec. And I think we're onto something. I think we finally found it. Next thing to check is the current draw on the unit, and I can already feel this bugger is heating up over here. 50 degrees. Right over there. And this is basically by the power supply. The red wire is a power supply, and it's heating up right on that spot. So the next thing we're checking is for the current draw, and we don't want to see anything above 0.2 or 0.3. Otherwise we have trouble. Trouble in paradise. Boom. That's trouble. That's trouble. Oh, that's massive trouble. And that as well. So definitely onto something over here. This unit is heating up pretty badly, and it's just on a bench test. It's not connected to the car at all. So I think we found our problem. But now the big question, how the heck are we going to solve this problem? And now was a perfect time just to connect the battery, run a scan, and check the rest of the gearbox while we're at it. Because once the gearbox is assembled and we leave an issue inside the gearbox, then we're gonna have to strip this box again. Checked what I could on the gearbox. Can't really check much with all the stuff that's been disconnected. So gonna have to sort out the gear selector unit, and then we can test the rest, unfortunately. But that's definitely an issue. I've got the control unit in there for quite some time now, and the heat on this unit is still perfect. So I'm happy with that. Now, is this the final answer to our prayers to get the wheels to turn? So I contacted the main dealer for a price, and let's hear what they had to say.
911 Carrera Cabriolet, 2017.
That is correct, yes.
Yes, so which electrical components do you require?
So inside the gearbox, there's a gear position sensor that I'm looking for.
There's nothing that I can see that is coming loose, because if I recall, I know I had another customer asking for the same thing.
Okay.
And we also got the thing of it doesn't not come loose for the vehicle, it comes only with the gearbox. So you would like a price on the full gearbox?
Yeah.
Are you at least sitting down when I give you the price?
I'm leaning on my workshop bench, so if my legs faint, I can still hang on to the table.
The gearbox for this car is a exchange for, so it will require your old gearbox back in the box that we supplied to you in.
Mm-hmm.
The gearbox including that is 348,068 rand and 10 cents.
348,000. That's including that, right?
8 rand and 10 cents. Oh. Including that, yes, sir.
Okay, so we can wrap it up to 350k.
The 250, yes. And that is the price if you give your old transmission back to us. If you don't give your old transmission back to us, then you'll have to pay an extra 90,808 Rand.
Holy smokes.
No problem, sir. Have a good day, brother.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Such a friendly guy. What? 440,000 Rand if I want to keep my gearbox for spare parts. Because I mean, there's nothing wrong with my gearbox. It's got low mileage. That's shocking. But you know what? I did some research and I think I came to the best possible solution in the whole world. There's nothing better than this. Let me show you guys what I'm talking about. So this is the Jumps website. Now let me tell you how I came across this. So I was spending a bit of time on YouTube and I stumbled across a gentleman's channel, and I'll put the link down in the description box below. His name is Jeff Richardson, and that's also his YouTube channel's name. And after watching the video, I realized that, wait a minute, this guy is advertising something that him and a couple of other clever guys created. And this unit is definitely our solution for a lot of reasons. Number one, I mean, just the amount of time and effort they have put in to create this, that's the one thing. And then the second thing is, if we go sensor information, there's all the details and there's the price. Now, if you look at the price, it's $1,000 US. And compared to what Porsche is charging us for a complete gearbox, this is way cheaper. And what I like about this is there's a lot of explanations and they've actually created two different units. If we go to frequently asked questions, now I like this section a lot. And let me show you what I like most about this section, and I think most of us would appreciate this. Right over here, this question. The sensor is far less expensive than other options. Why don't you charge more? Why would you ask that? The gentleman obviously calculated his pricing, but listen to what he's got to say. The aim of the project was to provide a sensor solution that worked very well, was easy to install, and was a reasonable price. We wanted to look after Porsche enthusiasts. I, Jeff Richardson, retired at the age of 52. Life has treated me well, and gouging the Porsche community for as much money as possible was something the Jumps team has no interest in. Now that's amazing. I simply charge what I think is a fair price considering the R&D and effort cost to make the sensors. Now, one question that really stood out to me as well was this one right over here. Do you always have sensors in stock? Yes. It would be very unusual to not have stock that can be immediately shipped. Amazing. So I'm definitely gonna use the sensor. I'm definitely gonna try this out. And then together we can see how amazing this product really is. But if you want to know more, I would really recommend you guys go and check out Jeff Richardson's YouTube channel. There's a lot of Porsche information on there. And if I had to stumble across his channel earlier, I think it would have made my life so much easier. So, looks like we are winning this one for change. I mean, from 350,000 Rand to under 20,000 Rand, I mean, that's a huge saving. This is by far, to me, the best option in the world. Definitely. Finally. And as simple as that, you just press contact for purchase and this link will take you right there. And I'm so glad I stumbled across the Jumps sensor. It's so amazing, it makes me forget about the whole journey I had to go through on this car. Can a person be so excited about an automotive part? I'll never give up on this car, and if I do, I will let you know, because then I'm going to break it up for spares, but I'm not going to do it because I'm never going to give up. Thank you so much for watching. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Let me sort out this freaking Porsche. Cheers.